Are you hustling backwards, bestie? I mean, most days, does it feel like you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off and don't know whether you are going or coming in your business? Well, if you have felt like that, first of all, I understand. And today's episode is just for you because I am welcoming my real life bestie and all things strategy around these parts with the real estate bestie community, Kimberly Howard. And we are going to talk about how to create a CEO day. What up, Kim?
Hey, hey, here we are again.
Here we are again. Okay, real quick, because we have some besties that may not know who you are and what you do in our community. So just tell them real quick what your role is so that they know, like, you kind of sort of a little bit know what you're talking about here.
Just a little bit. So, hey, yeah, again, I am Kimberly Howard. I am the Director of Operations for Real Estate Bestie, handling the back end situation of all that we are putting out here. But one of my favorite things recently is that with our accelerator coaching students, I really get to partner with them to provide just some strategy and give them some direction and clarity in the action that they're putting into their businesses.
Yeah, this is such a huge game changer. And I love that you get to do this, right? Because what you have done to help us in Real Estate Bestie, you've also helped my personal real estate business, is to get me out of being, that busy, run around hustler, right? That person who's out here hustling, to actually casting a vision and putting strategy and really taking this business and actually allowing it to become a business. And with that, what we noticed is that, it was working on the real estate bestie side. I was already pretty, successful when we started doing real estate bestie, but there were so many things that I was learning from you on how to actually put strategy behind my real estate business. And we're like, okay, we got to help the besties in our coaching program and provide this to them because hustle culture is so prevalent in real estate. And what ends up happening is that, you end up being on a never ending hamster wheel where you're constantly chasing your tail, where you're constantly chasing production and not really operating like a CEO. So go ahead, like hit the like button if you know what I'm talking about. If you like, yes, that has been me. And that's been what I have dealt with. This episode is for you. So Kim, talk to us a little bit just about, because you are like real estate adjacent, and I love having somebody from the outside looking in to kind of help us see some of our blind spots. So what are some of the things that you see real estate agents get caught up in that can actually be holding us and our businesses back?
Yeah, I think from the very beginning, it's just like vision and what does success look like for them.
Yeah.
So the besties that we have in Accelerator, like not everyone is the same. No two agents are the same. One real estate may be, their everyday living. Another real estate may be just the fun stuff, the extra stuff. Another one, they wanted to pay off debt. So what is your vision of success? I think it's really easy, especially in this world of social media, to look at what someone else achieves or what they're going for or how they're doing it and make you feel like that's the way you have to do it and that's what you have to get out of this business. And so I think very first is just defining what do you want? And sometimes that's really a hard question to answer.
Yeah, I think that that is probably the hardest question to answer. And you hit the nail on the head when you said, because of all of the images and different things that we see, right, about what success looks like. And I know for me, like let me not talk about nobody else but myself, but like I know that it almost sometimes feels like I became successful on accident because I wasn't necessarily trying for it, right? I wasn't trying to be top producer. I wasn't trying to, win awards or land in magazines. I actually was just trying not to go back into the classroom teaching.
Ditto.
Look, no shade to anybody who's a teacher, but like I was like, okay, what do I need to do so that I can provide and contribute to my family? And really, it was more about time. And I remember the first time where this was such a gift, but it actually, if not watched, it could become a curse because I remember the first time I was like in one of my team meetings And, after just really struggling to get going and to get into consistent production, they asked us like to list how many deals that you had pending. And I had my head down, like I was working, I was like I was hustling is what I was doing. And I remember counting, and like initially I was like, oh, I think I got 4. Then I was like, no, I got 5. Oh no, I forgot about that new build. I got 6. And like when I finished counting, I had like 9 things under contract, and I could not believe it. And that was like probably the first time where I was like, oh my gosh, like this really can work for me. But what that did was it set me into a motion of where I was hustling to no end. And I never stopped to say, what was enough. I never stopped to think strategy. I never stopped to think future. I never stopped to think leverage. I was thinking, even though I was making more money and I had things in the pipeline, I was operating more like an employee than I was a business owner. And it took a long time for me, and it's still, truth be told, I am still learning what it looks like to put some strategy behind my actions. And I know that there are besties out there that understand exactly what I'm talking about. So you said the number one step is, let's figure out exactly what your vision is. And we're going to get into, like, y'all stick with us on this podcast, or if you're watching on video, because we're going to actually help you set up a CEO day. But I want to know, okay, after they cast a vision, and we know that that's a hard thing, like what does success look like for me? Then what do you think they need to do in terms of mindset or actually activities to start shifting into making the business more strategic once they figure out what that goal is?
Yeah, so kind of like what you said, like a lot of us will become business owners on accident, right? Like we love what we're doing, we're good at it, but then turning it into an actual business, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of components. Like you've got to consider finances and visibility and marketing and your operations and your client experience and all these different things. And just like you with your deals, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I do have all these deals, but do you have the systems in place to like carry those deals all the way through, like to where they don't just fall out in that pending stage, right? And so I think we have to get just a little bit more holistic look at what this business, other than I get a client, let me handle them kind of willy-nilly as we go. And then hopefully we get to whatever that end is. For most of the people listening here, that would be the closing table. So, but looking at this truly like a business, not just the client or the transaction at hand. And that means that there's a lot more to consider than just that transaction.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying, because like, put it in the comments, besties. Who has heard, and we've heard it in coaching, I've said it myself, I need systems, right? And I do believe that part of this stepping away from your business, and first of all, recognizing that it's a business, and then stepping away and looking at it from that 30,000-foot view to say, okay, what systems, what do I need to put in place to make it flow a little bit more smoothly? We know we need to do it, but it's the action of just doing it. But first, let's define it. Like, what would you define a system as? Because we throw that word out all the time, but what does that even mean, systems? Like, am I supposed to go to like systems.com? Like, what am I supposed to do?
I mean, honestly, a system's just a set of repeated actions. So you may have a system for attracting new clients. You may have a system for nurturing and staying in front of past clients. You may
Yep.
have a system for collecting feedback after you've completed a sale or a buying transaction. You may have a system for how do we get from, that consultation to the closing table. So what are those processes that we're doing repeatedly over and over again so that we're not having to reinvent the wheel every single time this thing happens?
Yes. And I'm thinking about, like, when I think about systems, like, it dawned on me, I don't know, after sending so many emails, because sometimes you're sending the same type of emails, right? You're answering
Yeah.
the same type of questions. Most when you get going in business, like the same fires, it's not going to be exactly the same every single day, but a lot of the issues, the objections that you're handling with one seller, you best be sure that you're going to end up having somebody else that may have something similar. So to start collecting, right, the different things, the different resources that you're using, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So then when you have been strategic and you have, intentionally put the 9, 10, 11, 12, or 2 or 3, like whatever success looks like for you, when those deals are on the board, you have the systems in place so that it's not sucking all of your time and your energy and draining you, which I think is what puts a lot of us in that, that hustling backwards mode that we talked about in the very beginning. And it will save us so much like energy in all the things, right? And you have been instrumental on like with our real estate bestie agents, and even in my own business, right, with just helping me like, okay, what is the process? And those processes in place, not only is it helping us to have a better experience for our clients, but now we get to like pass these systems along to the besties that we get to support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about it though, because it takes time to put this stuff in place. And this is where I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation, because Kim has voluntold me and really encouraged me to step away from the business more frequently so that I can plan what we have defined. I don't know if we've coined it, but well, I know we haven't, but it is what it is, a CEO day. So let's talk about this, because I know you bestie, y'all are hustlers, y'all are in here, you're doing 111 million things, you lead generating, you picking up the phone, or maybe you're thinking about it, you ain't even there yet. So to step away to plan for the business seems overwhelming. So we're going to chat, and I want Kim to really chat about what do you think a productive CEO day is. But first of all, what's the purpose of having a CEO day?
Yeah. So I think I heard someone say, like, you've got like this massive boat that you're rowing, right? And a lot of times you've got the people under the boat who are actually doing the rowing. All they can see is the person in front of them, the transaction in front of them, the task ahead of them. All they're doing is rowing. But then there's this captain up top who can actually see the landscape. He can see where we need to go, how we need to adjust, if we need to slow down, and they can see the land or where we're trying to go, that vision that we've set, right? And so often we're under the bottom of the boat, we're just rowing and hustling and on that hamster wheel. And so that CEO day is a chance to step back and get back in that captain's position so that we like view the landscape, we know the vision where we want to go. And so it's just taking that little bit of time, and what it looks like for different people is, it's going to be based on your business and what you can allow, but it's just taking that time to step back and look at the full landscape of your business, not just the things that have to be done right now that are urgent and important.
Yeah, I love that, because there are so many times, right? And I know that I used to be like it. I get to see it on my team. I get to see it, with the besties that we get to coach. Is that so often we are so like boom, 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 go, 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 where a couple things happen. One is which is like you don't have any peace, right? You're not enjoying this business. And, because there aren't the systems, because you do feel like you're consistently rowing. If you are fortunate enough to be an agent who is in high production, then you feel like you're drowning with everything else. And it may be scary to make time to step away and actually plan and strategize. But I'm telling you, friend, if you don't do it, like this business will punk you. Like you will quit way too soon, or it's going to come at the sacrifice of all of the other things. Yeah, I'm thinking about your glass balls, Kim. Can you talk about that? Like the balls that we have in the air. That's what I thought about when I was talking about what you may have to sacrifice if you don't
Yeah.
step.
Yeah. So, we hear this like we need balance and we've got to keep everything going. And to a certain extent, there's a lot of things we do have to keep going. And so I do equate it to juggling, right? We're juggling, and not just in our business and clients and, all the things, but a lot of us are, other roles, wife, mom, all these other things. And so some of these balls that you're juggling are glass and some of them are rubber. The ones that I want to keep in the air are the glass ones, the ones that I have determined are most important to me. And like, if they got dropped, we'd have a problem. They're shattering. But
Yep.
there are other balls that are rubber that if they drop, they're going to bounce back and it's going to be okay. And so it's just really setting priorities for yourself on what's most important, what has to be done, what cannot afford to be dropped, and prioritizing in that sense.
Yes. And when I hear you talk about those glass balls, and this is one of the beauties of like having this CEO time, this time that you step out and like you said, you want to be at the top of the boat, the ship, on the land, whatever, you want to see all the stuff, everything that you said so eloquently, because then you figure out, okay, what are the balls? What are the glass balls that I need to have in the air? What are the things that I need to apply leverage? Because let's be friend or bestie who's listening to this. I know that you want to be every woman, like Whitney Houston, God rest her soul, has convinced. Oh no, was that Shaka Khan who sang that the first time? I'm every woman. Yeah, but whoever made us feel like if like there is some super duper badge about getting it all. And I'm thinking back to, we did a podcast a long time ago, even before the podcast was on YouTube, episode number 23. Like, go back and listen to it, rosemaryLewis.com/23. And we talked about just different ways to create and apply leverage in your business, because there will come a time, right, where just like a CEO, you think a CEO does not handle, a good CEO, I should say, that's not
Yeah.
micromanaging, right? That's not all in the video dancing like Puffy. That type of CEO is going to be the person that is going to give opportunities to the other people to use their gifts so that the whole business, the whole ship can function appropriately. And yeah, the CEO day does that. So let's break it out. How often? We're saying CEO day, and this is a day where you are going to intentionally step away from the business so that you can plan for the business, right? So how often do you think these CEO days need to happen?
Yeah. And I wish I could say just one thing, right? But I think it's going to depend on the person. And somebody might hear CEO day like, oh, there's no way I could step away from my business for a full day. And if that's you, one, I would challenge you, can you really not step away for a full day? But maybe you start with a half day. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the first 4 hours of the day that you designated as a CEO day. Ideally, I would say at least once a month. For someone else, it might be once every 2 weeks. Another person, it might be once every week. But at the very least, I would say once a month.
Yeah. And it should be on your calendar. It should be on your schedule, time to step away, assess what's happening so that you can go deeper. So what do they do on the CEO day?
Yeah. So the first thing, like you said, is just setting aside that time, like picking a date in your calendar, putting it down and honoring that just like you would going to meet a client at a house, right? So setting that date, setting up the space for that. For some people, being in your same office or at home or with other people might work. Somebody else might need to go to a coffee shop. Somebody else might need to be completely silent, no music, no nothing. So figure out the type of environment that is going to work best for you to be productive and in that state where you can really focus on your business, not just in it, not just in all the urgent things that need to happen. And sometimes that means removing some things. So whether that's removing your phone or putting it on do not disturb or whatever it may be. But I think the environment for that is going to be really important to start.
Okay, I want to like piggyback off of two things that you said there. So number one thing is environment, y'all. It is so darn key. And I know we're talking CEO day, but just in your daily work, somebody might be struggling because the minute that you sit down at the kitchen counter to do your lead gen, to have your CEO day, you are just distracted by dishes, the dog is barking, this is happening, da, 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 da. And I'm not saying that you can't work from home. Some people are great about working from home, but making the environment warm and inviting and conducive to the work, it is a game changer. So I am going to challenge, right, you to really think about, okay, where can I lock in. And even like we just recently redecorated our office to make it a place that we love to be and a place that we love to just come and do not only our real estate work, but our bestie work. But like you and I, we're planning a CEO day. And this week we are actively looking to go in a new environment because we don't want, we don't want to just fall into the day-to-day operations of the businesses. We want to have more of a visionary landscape, and just switching it up is going to be a big difference. Now, this is the second thing I want to say. Somebody's like, my phone on do not disturb. Put it in another room. Okay. I was like that, and it would stress me out. Friend, 99% of the things that you think are fires and things that have to be attended to immediately in your business, I promise you, they can wait an hour, right? I'm not one that I'm ever going to remove myself from my phone for 4, 5, 6 hours, but can I put it on do not disturb for, an hour Pomodoro or, a short sprint of time, then go check it, give myself a limit on when I can go back to it and then come back? You absolutely can. And this is what I'm going to challenge is if you feel like you have a business that you can't step away from for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, then you really need to see your day, right? You
Right.
really need to put some things in place because you are not running that business is running you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what else? What else do we
So
do?
after you have figured out the right environment for you, and that might take some time, right? But don't let it hold you back. Go for it. And then if you figure out it didn't work well the first time, then switch the environment the next time, right? While you're there, the next thing you're going to want to do is reviewing metrics. And metrics may seem like it's all numbers, right? And while, yes, we want to review like our numbers, where we are in relation to our goal, in relation to deals closed, all those things, there are other metrics that you want to look at as well. You want to look at how is your marketing performing? Are you actually getting a return, or are you just putting things out in the air that are not performing for you? Look at your client feedback. Are you collecting client feedback? How did they feel throughout a transaction? There are sales numbers you could be looking at. Like there's a lot of different things that inform you on how your business is performing other than just dollars.
Yep. Yep.
So I would encourage you to look at metrics, and then you're going to also be able to identify like what are things that are working and what are things that are not working. I would look at that and say, okay, when I get a new lead in, whatever I'm doing to communicate with them, is that working to get them to the next step? If it's not, this may be a place where we want to spend some time and put some strategy behind how do we adjust that? What's the system going to look like? How's it going to change? So reviewing those metrics, that performance, whatever those numbers are, and then what's working and what's not working. And I would also encourage you to look back at your vision. Where do you
Yeah.
actually want this business to go? And when you look at those metrics, look at what's working, what's not working. Are those getting you closer to moving that needle towards that vision that you have that this business is going to provide for you?
Yeah, I want to give just a very like tangible like example to that because sometimes we think like when we use words like metrics, if you're like me, who I think I got like 8 Ds in geometry for 2 semesters when I took them, right? Like I'm like, what? I don't, but no, seriously, like think about how many people have you talked to in the last month, last week, even. Of those people that you talked to that were interested in buying, how many of them then were you able to book a consultation with, right? So if you talk to 8 people, but only, one of them actually scheduled the consultation, then maybe now what you need to work on in your business is, okay, maybe I need to work on my scripting and my role plan, how I'm, assessing having these conversations to make the potential client comfortable to go to the next step, right? So it doesn't always have to be these grandiose, looking at, how many dollars I spent on this and how like because your money is time. You have time currency. So if you're putting time into these activities, but you're not getting the results, where is my area of opportunity? Where do I need to tweak some things? And sitting down and looking at that, you just not blaming it on these buyers playing. They'll nobody want to do nothing. Or Do I need to get on the phone with a bestie and role play? And, can I work on listening more? Or, what might have gotten in the way? So I just want to give a tangible example.
Yeah,
So
and
what else on the CEO day?
yeah, so after you have created the environment, you reviewed how your business is performing. I think next is when you get into that plan and that strategy for growth. So, based on what your business metrics, what that performance, those numbers, what's working, what's not working is telling you, now we have the time to actually do something about that. So, that
Yep.
may be looking at planning for the upcoming month. That may be looking at a system that you see is not working and actually putting the work behind it to make it work or to make a change. It may be looking at your marketing activities and getting some of those things knocked out. It may be that you need some self-care, right? There's a lot of different ways to plan for growth and to put some strategy behind your business. I would say for anyone who's done strategic mapping with me, especially our accelerator students, this is a great time to go back and check on that strategic map. Okay, what did I say that I was going to get done this quarter? How do I need to move and adjust so that I'm still on track for what I've set up to be the strategic growth and direction of my business?
Yeah. And what I've noticed, besties, is like, what we're describing, it sounds kind of cut and dry, but when you really like dig into the numbers and the activities and the results and check in with yourself, like how am I feeling? Like what is my energy level? Where am I getting stuck? Where am I getting frustrated? You will clearly be able to see like, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time here, right? Where I'm getting the majority of the results here over there. So if I shift my capacity, my thought process, my energy to that, I can get more accomplished by doing that thing in less time, which is going to overall make for a better experience in my business. So this for sure is a game changer. Now, we don't want to leave you hanging. So what we have done, because obviously we can't go into too much detail on the podcast, is we actually have created. Kim, you want to tell them what you created for them? Because I'm saying we, like it was me. You actually gave them a resource so that no matter where you are, bestie, you can start to implement the CEO day. And it's so important to do it, especially as we are wrapping up and ramping up for the new year.
Yeah, so we just have a downloadable guide for you for establishing your CEO day. It is going to help just clarify again what a CEO day and the purpose of it, and walk you through kind of those 3 steps of setting that environment. What are those metrics that you're going to review to see how your business is performing? And then what will you actually work on to grow your business, to get out of the day to day working in the business and actually take a step back and work on your business?
Yeah.
And you can get that at rosemarylewis.com/CEO.
Yes, rosemarylewis.com/CEO. And listen, let me just tell you, like, there will come a point where you are like, oh my goodness, like I am on a never-ending hamster wheel of just go, 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 brash, 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 produce, produce, produce. And I don't care how much money you are making, that is gonna get old real quick, right? So this CEO day, and I love that you mentioned that not only is it going to help put some strategy and help you like actually plan for like what you want and how to get there, but it's about taking care of yourself, right? Because if you go down, right, like what's going to happen to the business? So I encourage you all to go ahead and get the download. And we actually, like, we if you like this episode, we have a shorty and it's all about, I put the link for the video of, are you busy? Are you productive? Because a lot of people out here that you busy, you working from sun up to sundown, but are not gaining any traction in your business. And we're going to put the link where you're either watching this episode or where you're listening so that you can like really walk away with some tools in your toolkit. Kim, you got anything left to say to the besties as we send them off to be CEOs of their amazing businesses?
Yeah, can we give them a challenge?
Oh, okay.
When's your next CEO day? First or next? Because there may be
Yes.
someone who's done a CEO day before. So when is your first or your next CEO day? They can drop it in the comments,
Yep.
right? But we would love to know and to support you along the way.
Yep. We are here to support you. All right, besties, we love you and we'll talk to you later. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.